Australia, land of the fair go. Yet even here, prejudice, hate and anti-white racism are alive and well. Welcome to NAIDOC Week. Known as the greatest thing to have happened ever, Western civilization has brought us great architecture, great art, such as Leonardo DiCaprio's Smiling Lisa, and, perhaps most importantly of all, great government. But it seems in Australia, Western civilization is under attack. First, it was the national apology.
I'm sorry.
Then they wanted to change the date of Australia Day. And now, it's NAIDOC Week. That's right, 7 whole days, when they've already had the place to themselves for 40,000 years. Worse still, recently the Ramsay Centre Recently, the incredibly well-endowed, non-partisan and totally correct Ramsay Centre tried to set up a bachelor's degree promoting Western civilization. Of course, it got shut down by the libtard cuckflakes at the ANU. I can't help but feel that there is one standard for us and another standard altogether for Indigenous Australians. It's almost as if there is some sort of gap between us. To find out more about why Western civilization has been refused entry into the NAIDOC nightclub, tonightly Investigatesly met with Indigenous academic and total elitist Professor Bronwyn Carlson.
Thank you for speaking with me, Professor. You're actually the first Aboriginal person I've ever met. So tell us, in Aboriginal culture, what is a NAIDOC?
So there is no NAIDOC per se in Aboriginal culture. So NAIDOC stands for National Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Day of Commemoration. So this is a national week where the whole of Australia celebrates and acknowledges Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander contribution to Australian society. And it has its roots in the 1938 Day of Mourning and Protest.
Oh, so it happened after the first fleet arrived?
Yes, 1938.
So it didn't exist before Western civilization came to Australia?
No.
Interesting.
Hypocrite. The worst is yet to come. Using an alias to perform some journalistic Googling, I uncovered the heavily advertised annual National NAIDOC Awards. These awards will recognise the outstanding contributions of Indigenous Australians to improve the lives of Indigenous people in their communities. I've had a look at the award categories and you guessed it, not one award for a non-Indigenous person. Racist!
I've come up with some suggestions to make the NAIDOC Awards a bit more inclusive. How about the IPA Award for Best Quarterly Essay on the Problems with Indigenous Culture from a Western Democratic Liberal perspective?
So I did mention that NAIDOC was about Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, so I think we'll just keep having awards for ourselves in that week.
What about the Gerard Henderson Award on the most effective lobbying on the perils of constitutional recognition?
Are you kidding right now?
No.
There are 51 weeks in the rest of the year where non-Indigenous people are generally celebrated. We're having this one week, which is a national recognition of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and our contribution.
All I'm saying is that makes me feel pretty marginalised, but you wouldn't understand, don't worry. So, moving on. Tony Abbott said that what happened on the 26th of January 1788 was a good thing, even for Indigenous Australians, because it brought Western civilization to Australia. Now, I agree with that. Why don't you?
That represents the day the British invaded this country. And with them, they brought disease, they brought destruction, and they brought death for Indigenous people.
What about Uber? I mean, that is a product of Western civilization, and I'm sure if those Indigenous people hadn't have been killed, they would have given it 5 stars.
But they were killed.
So 4.5 stars then?
Like no stars.
It's ironical that NAIDOC excludes Western civilization when it has Western civilization to thank for making Aboriginal culture so scarce it needs celebrating in the first place. You're welcome, Mr. NAIDOC.